one thing that I found is something that we had talked about many, many times in the past, and it finally puts the last nail in the coffin, the argument to all the haters who just love saying that electric vehicles are more environmentally damaging than internal combustion engine vehicles because of blah, 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 stupidity, blah, 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 ignorance.
Perfect summary. Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That was my best ICER imitation. It works with anything. Climate denial.
Oh yeah. Well, I heard that Hummers are better for the environment than Prius.
Right. Of course they are.
That was from the Heartland Institute. That was a well-researched study, obviously.
That was a well-funded study, mister. So you better take that.
Yes, a well-funded. Right. Yes, and I think similar reports are being put out.
Yeah. So this was a joint study from the University of Cambridge, Exeter, and Nijmegen. Okay, 3 universities. One of them was Cambridge, and the other is Exeter. A third one I can't pronounce. But anyway, what they found was, except for extreme areas in the world where coal makes up the majority of electricity, electric vehicles are cleaner than gasoline cars in 95% of the world. And then that's like I said, except for places where coal makes up the majority, such as Poland, is what they had said. And over the lifetime, the emissions for electric vehicles are 70% lower in countries that get most of their electricity from renewable energy, such as Sweden and France. And as we've said time and time again, even electric vehicles that are charged on fossil fuels will get cleaner when the grid gets cleaner as we introduce more hydro, more wind, more solar. So hopefully this is one last nail in the coffin, except as we all know, the people who should be reading this article are not reading this article. And the people who already know these things are the ones who are reading this article.
And even Poland, so if you've ever been there, they have horrible air quality. And especially we were driving down the freeway, I was like, wow, geez, the air quality here is horrible. And one of my friends from Poland said, yeah, well, you know how in the United States, as you guys sell cars, they all eventually end up in Mexico? Well, that's what happens in Europe. They all move east. And so the worst of the worst polluting vehicles are the ones that are in Poland. So if you compare that, if you just compare some sort of average to an electric car, it's going to be a little bit different. The nice thing about an EV, even if you are buying it in Poland today, is that as the grid gets greener, your car is going to get greener. And that is not true with a gas car. It's only going to get worse.
And you can put solar panels on your house today.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So there's really not much more to add here. Like I said, it's the exact reason we've done this show for 10 years. I mean, it's trying to push people in this direction. And yeah, I mean, for us, this is just a duh moment. But like I said, more people need to see this study.
Right. The Union of Concerned Scientists did this in 2012, and they updated it in 2015 and found the same thing. That and when they did their update, they found that it got even better because a lot of the U.S. grid cleaned up during that time. So it's only getting better over time. And one of the problems that they have is that when you ever see a study where they come to the opposite conclusion, they're usually saying, oh, well, okay, let's compare tailpipe emissions to all the upstream related things to an EV and all the energy source and the vehicle manufacturer. But then they're comparing everything on the whole life cycle of an EV to the tailpipe of the gas car. And if you're going to look upstream and do a life cycle analysis, you have to do the cradle to grave on both sides.
Right.
And EVs win, 95% of the time, 95% of the planet.
Yeah, I just watched one where
the only way fossil fuels are cleaner is if you cheat.
Right?
Yes.
That's the TLDR of that whole thing.
Yeah,
you could
Dieselgate.
cheat.
Yeah. Just watched one where they compared electric to fuel cell, and they said, all right, well, these both let's say the electric is the same place for whether it's gas reformed or electrolysis. All right, so let's say they came from the same place, and then you came to the conclusion, all right, well, since they got their electricity from the same place, then the EV is greener, obviously, by like double. He's like, all right, but let's not throw this thing away. Then he flipped it to compare it to the gas car. I was like, all right, well, there you go. It's marginally better than a gas car. At the tailpipe, it's 100%, but if you compare the upstream,
I think part of the problem is that for detractors, they like to make it set the standard so high that it's kind of ridiculous.
It's not worth switching, yeah.
Oh, it needs to be perfectly clean from every portion of the manufacturing and the fueling, well, the charging and everything else. And it's like, look, I don't know about you, but we have to move in incremental steps on this because we're not going to have 100% pure and clean transportation. So I've always kind of disregarded all that. Like, no, it's dirtier because how you get electricity. Electricity is a dirty power source anyway. And it's like, yeah, and so's your mother. I mean,
The only
Right.
retort
Your
that
refrigerator,
Yes.
your lights. Yeah, if that matters to you, great. You should have solar for all of that stuff, including an electric vehicle.
yeah, it's not perfect. It's not worth switching from this.
Right,
Very
you're
good,
right.
yeah.
It's so many people, and with so many different things, it's so many people have to. They feel that it has to be everything or nothing. It's like, well, no, an electric vehicle. We could say, I'm just throwing out a number and say, well, this electric vehicle is 50% cleaner than an internal combustion engine. Well, but it's not 100% clean. Therefore, I'm going to stick with my gas guzzler. And you're like, that's
Leave it
stupid.
dry.
Right. That's one reason
Right.
I'm a big supporter of plug-in hybrids. There's a lot of people who are battery electric or nothing, and if it's not 100% battery electric, it's a piece of crap. And that's just not smart thinking. If the person's options for based on their needs, where they live, the infrastructure around them, is a plug-in hybrid or a gas car, a plug-in hybrid's great. And for their errands or whatever, they're on their commute, they're on full electric. And if they want to drive 100 miles more, then they're on gas. Great. So, don't let the good, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Yeah.
Right. I've often, many times, I've given this scenario. I've told people, so what you're saying is, if I give you $75, you'll throw it in my face because it's not 100.
And that's what they're saying.
Yes.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
That's
Are
exactly
you
what
going to
they're
give
saying.
me $75?
No.
Because
I
I don't
heard
have
this-
it.
I heard this speaker, and she was on a group that climbed Mount Everest, and they got turned away at the top, and they weren't able to make it to the peak. And she said that she was telling the story, and someone said, "Oh, well, you didn't make it to the top, then you didn't climb Mount Everest." And she was like, "Oh, so you're the CEO of your company?" And he was like, "No, I just work there." "Oh, so you're not at the top, so you don't matter."